Hey, what's up? This is Pistol Pete, realtor working here in Santa Cruz County with Room Real Estate and the Eubank Property Group. Today, we're gonna go over the full buyer's consultation. And so this sets up into two different sections, and we can break this up into two sections if you're limited on time. But for the purpose of this video, we're gonna have it all in one. So in that first section, we're gonna go over appointment, location and criteria, your motivation, your goals as a buyer, and then finally your financing, how you're gonna buy this house. So then when we dive into the second section, we're gonna get into all the documents that I'll need to make a bulletproof offer on your behalf. Then we're gonna dive into the major terms on the residential purchase agreement, and then finally end with the escrow timeline from start to finish when you get your keys and own your house. The very first part of our buyer consultation is going to be setting an appointment. That can take shape in a Zoom meeting, a phone call, or best is to do an in-person meeting. So then we're going to get into crystal clear criteria and location. This is where we're going to define bedroom and bathroom count. We're going to define, maybe school district, commute location, distance to where you're working, where your family is at. We're going to talk about the style of home that you like. Maybe the area, if you're looking for something with a lot of sun, or you want a tree-lined street, or you're looking for something on the main street, or maybe off the beaten path. This is where we get into the nitty-gritty of exactly what you are looking for as a buyer. So then that will help me inform how to find the right houses for you and what type of off-market and coming soon offers to bring you. Don't worry if this is kind of a mystery still to even you. We can also find this out. So we can define even just a little bit of criteria and then hone in from there. The third item that we're going to talk about is motivation. So this is going to be why you're making this move, why you're making this purchase now. So sometimes it's a job change, or maybe to be closer to family that you're taking care of, or maybe it's upsizing to a larger home or downsizing to a smaller home. Whatever your motivation is, we're going to find out. The fourth item that we're going to talk about is your goals. What's your goals in this transaction? Are you trying to make an investment, or are you interested in making a short-term move? Or is this your forever home? Is this gonna be your long-term move? We can set up your goals after we know your location and your motivation. We can kind of define exactly what the right strategy is gonna be. Whether you're using a slow flip, for instance, or maybe a house hack, or maybe you're really going after that forever home. And I've got some videos here that you guys can click on that are other tip videos that I've made that might be able to help you point you in the right direction for what type of purchase you're gonna be making. The last item that we're gonna talk about in this first section is gonna be your financing. How are you gonna buy this house technically? Whether you're gonna use cash, maybe leveraging assets in the market, or whether you're taking a conventional loan, or maybe even a government-backed product like a VA, FHA, or USDA loan. It's totally a myth that you need to be in the perfect financial space to buy a house right now. Between myself and the lender that I can set you up with, we can help you repair credit, pay down debt, and put you in the place to get the best terms possible for your financing. So that first section is really like the first half hour of our appointment, and we can choose to end there and then reschedule for a second appointment. But if you have the time, this second section is about a half hour as well, and we can just dive right into it. So here in the second section, again, we're gonna talk about the documents I'll need to make a bulletproof offer. We're gonna be talking about the major terms in the residential purchase agreement. And then the last thing is we're gonna talk about the escrow timeline from start to finish when you get your keys and you move in. So the first item in the second section, we're gonna talk about the bulletproof offer template. These are the documents that I will need from you in order to make a very strong offer. The goal of this is to put together an offer that the seller and the listing agent won't have any questions about. They're gonna think this person is ready to go, ready to buy this place. And they're not gonna have any questions about your strength. We're just gonna be negotiating on the terms and the price. That's all we want them to focus on, and that's what we want them to focus on, not the fact that you're not approved or don't have the right documentation. So what do we need? The first item is gonna be proof of funds. This is gonna be a screenshot or a bank statement or maybe an investment statement that shows that you have the liquid cash available to make the down payment and closing costs that you're writing into your offer. And then even some reserves are fine too. So if you can show more, good for you. The second item that we're gonna need for this is gonna be a pre-approval letter. If you are using a loan for your purchase, whether it's conventional or a government-backed loan, we're gonna want a pre-approval letter to reflect the offer that we're making. So the third piece of a bulletproof offer is gonna be your residential purchase contract. We're gonna wanna put this on the latest version of the California Association of Realtors RPA, and we're gonna include all of the standard buyer disclosures and agency disclosures with that. The fourth item that is optional is going to be a cover letter. So a lot of my buyers choose to write a love letter. You may have heard of these, or some sort of cover letter. And basically all it is just you being genuine about who you are and putting a face to the name. So whether you want to include pictures or not include pictures, or whether you want to do this at all is totally up to you. But I find that sometimes adding that soft touch really does help. The last item that we're going to need for our bulletproof offer template is going to be a full seller disclosure packet signed by the buyer. So what this is an acknowledgement that you understand and that you have read all of the disclosures that have been provided to you. And essentially what this tells the seller is that your offer is made subject to the disclosures that they've already provided. The seller and the listing agent have put in a lot of work to put this packet together, and it shows a lot of respect and due diligence by the buyer to already have this understood and signed. So if we have enough time, we always like to put this in because it really gives strength to your offer. So the second item in our second section of our buyer consultation is going to be a review of the major terms on the residential purchase agreement. So this is going to look like the purchase price, the earnest money deposit, the physical inspection contingency, the appraisal contingency, the loan contingency, the close of escrow timeline, and then also the escrow and title splits. Who's going to be paying for those? How are those going to get split up? Where are those going to be held? Now, there are a lot of other minor terms on the residential purchase agreement, but we won't get too far into those, and we can review those in our first draft once we go over that first draft of our offer. So the last item in our second section of this buyer consultation is to review the escrow timeline. So this is from start to finish when you get your keys and move in. So the first part of this escrow timeline is going to be getting your offer accepted. Pretty much immediately after that, we're going to want to acquire those wire instructions or the information for the escrow company so that we can make our earnest money deposit. Typically, this is between 1 to 3 days after you get your offer accepted. That earnest money deposit is typically about 3% of the purchase price. This 3% is going to go towards your down payment and closing costs at the end of the transaction. Unless you have a VA loan or a USDA loan that is 0% down, then you'll go ahead and get a rebate for that minus your closing costs. Then if you have a physical inspection contingency on this offer, we're gonna go ahead and conduct our inspections and due diligence. Sometimes this looks like home inspection, pest inspection, maybe a roof inspection, a septic inspection, things of this nature. So we're gonna kind of kick the tires and look under the hood of the house and really see what's going on. Sometimes you don't have this, so it's good to know and review all those disclosures up front. Then we're gonna move at the same time as your physical inspection is happening. We're gonna go ahead and get our financing started, and we're gonna order the appraisal. So typically this is a third-party appraiser who is gonna be brought in, not related to me, not related to the seller, not related to the listing agent or the lender. This is a complete third party that's gonna give a valuation on behalf of the bank. So the bank or the lender that you're using is going to need to verify the collateral of the house. And this is verifying that the value of the house is worthwhile for the loan that you're making based on your contract price. So then we also have at the same time running the loan contingency. This is where the buyer is going to be approved from the lender as a buyer. So this isn't considering the collateral of the house, but it does take that into account after the appraisal is done. So the appraisal actually needs to be reviewed by the underwriter. So that's a part of our loan contingency as well. But the loan contingency is also a portion of just getting the buyer qualified for the loan. So that means we're going to be presenting a lot of information to an underwriter. The underwriter is going to be asking you for major and minor terms. You know, hey, what is this on your bank statement? Hey, what is this property that you own? Do you have a rental on it? Show me the rental income. Show me the leases. You know, whatever the situation is, they're going to ask you a bunch of different questions, and we're going to have to provide them with answers during this time. But at the end of that period, usually typically anywhere from 12 to 21 days, depending on where you're at and what you can negotiate, then we'll have final clear to close and loan approval. After we get finished with this loan contingency, which is typically the last contingency on an offer, we're gonna get into the closing cycle. So once you have all your contingencies removed, we're gonna have the CD go out. The CD is your closing disclosure. Then the lender and the escrow company will balance funds and then draw up loan documents based on their mutual understanding. Once you have loan documents, we'll go ahead and set a sign-off appointment. This is either with a mobile notary or you're gonna do it at the title company with your escrow officer. Once you sign off, after that, you're gonna fund the escrow with your down payment and your closing costs. Once the lender sees that you have the documents in and you funded escrow, you'll go ahead and get the funds from the lender. So the lender will send their wire. Once that wire lands, all the funds, all the paperwork will be in escrow, and then we'll be able to release to record. The closing actually happens when the transaction records at the county that you're buying in. Once that transaction recorded, we can go ahead and pick up the keys. Sometimes there is extra terms tacked on to a purchase contract, like a seller in possession period or a residential lease after sale, where the seller gets a chance to live in the house for a little bit longer as they move out and move on to their next place. So if you have that, then after closing, we wait for that time period to end, and then we'll have that final walkthrough, and then we'll go ahead and pick up the keys and transfer those. So that about wraps up our buyer consultation in 2 parts. So whether you want to schedule the first part or both parts, whether you have just a half an hour or an hour, I'd love to set this appointment with you and take you through a process and build a plan specific to what your needs are. Every single buyer is different, so we want to make sure that we got the plan just set up and right for you. Go ahead and reach out to me either by phone or email if you're ready to book this appointment. My contact information is going to be here below. And again, my name is Pistol Pete, working with Room Real Estate in the Eubank Property Group. I look forward to working with you.